Welcome to the Myrtle Beach Golf Report, powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach. And today we are not in the studio. We are actually here in Birdie Houses, or a Birdie House. I don't know, how would you call it? Are we in a Birdie House or the Birdie House?
It's a surprisingly confusing thing. It's like your stay is coming up at the Pinehurst Birdie Houses, the Myrtle Beach Birdie House. I don't know. We're still figuring it out.
Well, we are in the Myrtle Beach Birdie House with founder Tom. I think you're just known as the Birdie House guy on the Instagram.
You've seen him before.
Yeah.
If you follow Birdie Houses, you've seen this guy before.
Yeah. Face made for radio. People have been saying in the comments. So
No, I'm the face made for radio, man.
Yeah,
actually.
well, hey, man, we are excited to have you on, and we're going to learn a little bit about what you have been going on, maybe a little bit about what you've been done in your past. But really, the reason we're here is because this house is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's just get to it. How did the concept of Birdie Houses come to be, and what is Birdie Houses for those that are listening that might not know?
Yeah, I mean, what it is on the surface today doesn't encapsulate the whole vision, but it came to be through a combination of me. I've been doing entrepreneurial work my whole career and wanting to do something that combined things I loved and things I was good at. And it was, at the time when I was trying to concept, it was golf, real estate investing, and building internet native brands. That's just a little bit of my background. And so where it kind of came from was, I go on a couple buddy trips a year. They're the biggest weekends of my year. We plan them a year in advance. We're sometimes paying $700 to play a particular course. And a lot of the top destinations, there are exceptions, and obviously Myrtle Beach is a developed area, Scottsdale, very well developed area, but like a Kohler, Wisconsin, or a Branson, Missouri, or some of the stuff we have Stream Song and Cabot Citrus down in Florida, not really developed areas. And so if you're going with a big group, like ready to have a great time, ready to spend money, and you don't want 6 or 8 hotel rooms because you realize that like the camaraderie with your buddies is a big important part of the trip, the only options are very dingy rental homes in Kohler. And so we were staying in one of those. I was like, it seems so weird that everything about this trip is like high quality, premium, and yet we're staying in a terrible accommodation option. So the thinking was, let's go and do purpose-built real estate specifically for group golf trips. It's kind of where it originated. Thought about just doing one house, trying it out, and as I dug in a little bit, realized that it would be a lot cooler if we could build a portfolio of them, because at scale, we could start to offer services, tee time planning, private transportation, stocking the homes, like outfitting you with apparel before your trip. Lots of things that make sense if you have a bunch of them, but not one. And then also starting a brand around it where we curate content around golf course developments and architecture, golf travel, things like that, and having the brand tied to the homes. And so it becomes sort of this all-inclusive golf trip culture business. But what I really want to see in the future from it is, right now we're starting with what we know can work, which is rental homes for groups. But I think it'll be more fun when we start to get to play with more creative setups, like buying a couple acres of land and putting 6 houses on it. If you're a big group, rent all 6. If you're a small group, rent 1. Meet other groups. Give guys who are only a twosome an opportunity to go on bigger trips by meeting people through a shared love of golf travel, and actually like take these bigger trips and go on these bigger, more fun excursions that they might not otherwise because maybe they're single, or maybe I just think it's a thing that we're all so passionate about, but we all kind of live in our own group chat silos. Like if you're looking for, Myrtle Beach is unique in terms of the infrastructure around golf travel, but if you're looking for like a trip to Bend, Oregon, and you're like, I want to know best places to play, where to eat, what bars to go to, like you're reading subreddits or you're reading random forums. There's no like sharing of information and learnings around golf trip. There's not a ton of community around it. So the hope is, starting with real estate and making the accommodations more special, we can ultimately build into a broader community golf trip culture business.
So what drew you guys? This is what, your second house?
This is 2, yeah. 2 just opened, and then Scottsdale's coming in January is our target open.
So what kind of drew you guys here? Because like this is definitely the first thing like of its kind in town, and we toured it yesterday. It's absolutely insane. Doesn't feel like real life to me almost. But like, what drew you guys to the area, and like what ultimately made you settle on this property?
Yeah, so like the first filter we look at is we have to think about in these early days when it's really important that we can prove that the concept works. We weren't going to go into seasonal markets where we can only rent the house 5 months a year. So we wanted close to year-round golf. We have ambitions and some conversations going around private course access and, exclusive resort access, but for the most part we wanted high density of good quality public golf in minimal seasonal markets. And so there's probably 6 or 8 that were interesting to us: Palm Springs, Vegas, Myrtle, Pinehurst, Robert Trent Jones Trail. But the reason we moved quickly in Pinehurst is actually a lot because of Kyle and Ryan at GTS, because we came and met with them and realized that there's actually an incredible leaning into golf travel culture in this city in a way that no other city has. Like the coordination between courses and the cooperation and the ability for people like us to curate a better experience for our guests because everyone's kind of on board with it, from city planners all the way down to through GTS to the course owners and GMs. It was just a no-brainer. And honestly, the biggest challenge here was there weren't a ton of houses like this. We need high ceilings, big garages, tons of bedrooms, ensuite bathrooms, modern builds, big yards for huge outdoor practice areas. And you don't find a lot of that here. So it was kind of serendipitous. I was out here meeting Kyle and Ryan for the first time, and this house came on the market during our trip. We were actually here looking at 10 other homes that were B+ candidates. Yeah. And this one came on the market and we were like, oh my God, and just bought it that day.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
There's not a lot that David knows. I'm not an easily excitable person. I'm pretty even keeled.
Calm down.
Yeah. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. But I left here yesterday and I was like, dude, this is the coolest freaking house I've ever been in. And because of our job, been in a lot of rental properties over the years, but this is the most unique property that's specific to golf that I've ever been in. So talk us through kind of what goes into your head as you're designing these homes. And obviously you're listening, you can't really see it, and we'll cut some clips up and you'll see some visuals, but talk us through this house and then what you envision to be a unique property for Birdie Houses.
Yeah, so the first thing I knew I wanted, and this was again from my own experience, on my trips, we'd go out into the backyard late at night and we would just chip balls into a fire pit or whatever was back there. And the concept of having a giant practice facility at the house where you could go out with your buddies, grill, sit around the fire, TVs on, and literally just continue to play golf because that's all you want to do on these trips. That was I knew we had to have it. And a close second was a top of the line sim setup. One, because it's another really, really fun thing to do when you're not on the course. And also in a place like Myrtle, if something happens and your trip gets rained out, the fact that you have a whole practice facility and a full simulator setup, kind of hedges against that a little
Tom,
bit.
it never rains here. It's blue skies all day, every day, 24/7, 365.
I mean, it has been since I've been here, so I wouldn't know otherwise. But those were the staples. And then everything else kind of came after that. We knew we wanted the vibe to be sort of modern country club, but not stingy old country club. We wanted to lean into a younger feeling vibe. So the furnishings, a lot of thoughtfulness there. We ended up bringing in a bunch of partners. We've got Gleazy that stocks the house with hot dogs as a hot dog roller. Good Walk Coffee stocks the house as well. Callaway outfits the house with all their latest gear. So then it kind of just became a domino effect of how many great partners can we get to come participate to make the offering that much more compelling and that much more golf obsessed.
Yeah, and there's a unique design and layout to this place, and I'm looking at all the furniture. Are you hand picking all this furniture? Do you have an interior designer helping you? But what's that process like?
Yeah, so we work with a company called Summerled Designs. They're amazing, and it's very collaborative. I came to them with a vision. I put together inspiration boards. We went over floor plans. They put together proposals. I would give feedback. They'd revise. Now that we're working on our third house together, they've started to get a feel for my taste. But yeah, the idea is that every house feels luxe. Every house feels appropriate for the market. So the Pinehurst house is different than this house. Here we've got tans and blues and more Myrtle Beach kind of vibes, whereas Pinehurst is browns and dark greens, and Scottsdale is going to be reds and clays to be able to feel like every time you walk in, you know you're in a birdie house, but it's also completely fitting inside the environment.
You were talking like feels like you were saying, like a coastal vibe, like when you walk in, like from a color scheme standpoint and everything. Like at least that's what I gather from it. Two houses. Let's talk about this one just real quick. What is your favorite part of this house? I have a favorite part.
What's your favorite part before Tom?
It's the hot dogs.
The hot dogs?
It's because I'm fat, and I like the hot dogs.
Mine, there's too much before. We'll let Tom think of his answer. But when we were in here yesterday, there were so many aspects that I liked. I really like how you have like the recovery area outside with a hot tub, cold plunge, and the sauna aspect. But that outdoor environment to me is the best of everything. You have the large green, multiple places where you can play from. You have that outdoor cooking area with the pizza oven. You have the recovery section, large area to hang out. Like that outdoor space is awesome. And if you're here this time of year when it's just beautiful, it's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, the outdoor stuff is great. The obvious answers would be the things I just talked about. So maybe I'll talk about a less obvious answer. I'll give you two. One is because this is the second house, we were able to build upon what we did in Pinehurst. And we really wanted like a gym / warm-up area because we found ourselves like stretching and, guys that wanted to work out during the trip, like doing it basically on the turf in the sim. So here we were able to put in a gym with Golf Forever swing trainers and weight sets and TVs and water stations. And so like the gym is great. But I'd say the most unique, quirky thing here is we did a partnership with Sonny Collette, who's officially Sonny on Instagram and Group Chat Golf. His thing is he sits in front of a turf background and he's sort of like the golf sad boy, like talks about how the golf drop, like bag drops make him anxious, or his famous one of like he's a tight-lipped nodder, and like he does lots of like sort of sad confessionals to camera. And so what we did is under the stairs here, we have a Sunny setup with a phone mount where on these trips, we're calling it the LVP lounge. Basically the worst golfer of the trip or someone who did something embarrassing has to sit there and confess it to camera. And then there's a QR code where they can upload it. And the funny ones, like we and Sunny will post on our channels. And so it's just kind of it was an under the stairs space that we weren't going to do anything with, that I think we turned into this like really interesting creator partnership that hopefully will lead to some really funny experiences and content from guests.
Yeah, I definitely think it will. I shot one in there yesterday.
First one.
When we were messing around. So
there's going to be some
we'll publish it later.
Gold that comes from that. Absolute gold.
Yeah, hopefully it's not just like I just get like not suitable for work videos just sent to me.
There's going to be a lot of those. I'm just like that.
Yeah,
you'll through those.
It'll be like Christmas morning every time you get a new one.
There's another guy's butt. There's another guy's butt.
So Tom, talk me through a little bit about this idea and when it came to be. A lot of times, like when entrepreneurs, they come up with an idea, sometimes they sit on it for a little bit. Others, an idea pops in their head and they act on it right away. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It was probably a year between when I thought of it and when I really started diving into it. And part of it was just like fear. Like I've done a lot of things in my career, but I hadn't operated short-term rentals, and I hadn't raised money. Every venture I did before this, I'd used my own money to get it off the ground. So there was a little bit of like this seems really cool. How do I get over the hurdle of like actually putting together a business model and like leveraging a network to start like really grinding on it. And then once I did, it was still a little bit of a ramp to climb because it's not a traditional. Like we raised some money to get the first few off the ground. Like I can't afford to build these things. And it was challenging in that it doesn't fit into a clean box. If you're talking to venture capitalists, they loved the brand, The social media traction was amazing. They loved that we were working towards this like affluent golf traveler demographic, but they were like, you can't buy real estate with venture capital. And then for the real estate investors, it was kind of the opposite. They're like, we don't understand the brand. We don't care about the brand. The concept seems cool, but it's very early. We're used to seeing like, hey, here's the asset. Here's how it's been performing. Here's what you're buying. Whereas I was just sort of saying, I'm going to buy a house in one of these markets. And so finding the right balance of like risk return appetite from investors who understood that there was both a real estate element and like a lighter asset light digital media style company took a lot of work, because ultimately it was people that were betting on me and betting on the vision, even if the vision was like, it's not venture capital, it's not quite real estate, but I had to get people to the point they were like, but we trust you.
Yeah.
And eventually I got there, and I got pretty good at explaining what the plan was. And I think everybody that invested has been really excited about seeing it come to life and how things have been going.
Here's kind of a deep question. I didn't think we were going to get, deep on this, but like if somebody, is thinking not necessarily like a Birdie Houses idea, but somebody wants to start something, like what would you tell those people to like encourage them to like take that first step? Because like you said, like it is risky at the end of the day. Like it is a risk, but sometimes you just have to do it and then kind of not figure it out as you go, but for lack of a better term.
Well, it's easy for me to say because I had done it before. Yeah. I think like I was an electronic music producer for 10 years, and that was something that I don't think I was especially good at, but I had built enough traction. There's a big opportunity in electronic music when I was in college. It was getting very, very big in 08, 09, and I sort of experimented with it and built enough traction that I was able to confidently walk away from my job in order to pursue it. And even at the time, the job that I had lined up gave me like 2 years of deferment. They were like, this seems great, go explore this, and if it doesn't work out, we're here for you. So I had a little bit of a safety net, and that turned into a 10-year venture. So most of my friends are in traditional jobs, and so I don't necessarily have the perspective to tell people what it takes to jump off that cliff, because it's all I've ever known. But I do know that you got to just do it, and you're going to screw up. Like, take the first step. If you think about it as where you need to be in a year, you're going to get overwhelmed. It's like you got a huge pile of dirty dishes. How are you going to deal with this? You're going to do it one cup at a time. And so, like, you got to take the first step. And the other thing is pick something you love, because this is a ton of work. But I love it every single day, because it was literally a business designed around things that I loved. And so it was worth it. Whereas if I didn't love this, I'd flame out so fast.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is like, we've now been here a couple times, and you guys are grinding. Like, you're sitting here with screwdrivers and screw guns, putting things on walls. And a lot of times people don't see that. They just see the finished product and just think it miraculously came to be. But talk us through a little bit about your background. Like, you're well educated. You have this unique background that really doesn't seem to mesh with what you're doing now. But tell them what happened in your life. Where did you go to college, and what did you study in school?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bay Area, which was like the Silicon Valley tech hub of the world, like the house where Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computer, less than a mile from my house. So there was always like a little bit of tech entrepreneurship, like almost in the water there. And I'm a very quant guy, like applied mathematics major, was always very good at all those things, and went to Northwestern, did mathematics, economics, and was planning on going to do management consulting as sort of like a first step, do it for 2 or 3 years, and then start to specialize and go down a traditional career path. And then, caught the music bug, like I mentioned earlier. Less that I was good at making music, but I liked music. And I saw a big opportunity with DJs like Avicii coming up out of nowhere, and guys like Tiesto and David Guetta, who had been well-known DJs for decades, but just playing in like the corners of bars and clubs, and now they were headlining Coachella. And it was like something crazy is happening in this space, and you've all now seen it happen over the past 15 years. Like, you see these festivals down in like South America where there's like 80,000 people watching a guy standing up there pressing buttons on a deck.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah, and like in the 90s, that would have been ludicrous. It's like Britney Spears is the singer, and who produced the song? I have no idea.
Who cares?
Now it's Avicii featuring Aloe Black. Like it's the DJ is the headline name. And so, yeah, I just got really excited about like the opportunity space there. And it was pre-Spotify. And so it was a lot of just like self-teaching. I had to learn how to produce. I had to learn how to DJ. I had a burner phone that I would answer and pretend to be my own agent because I was like, I needed to look legit. Like when someone was like, come to a show.
What was your agent name?
Mark Sheehan.
That's a great
I actually
agent.
imagine he would look a little bit like you, like in my head.
I'm Mark Sheehan.
Yeah, you've got a Mark Sheehan.
Like kind of
look.
intimidating in a way, like somebody you really don't want to mess with, but they can get a deal done.
Yeah, but it was wild because I would talk to these guys. You can't tell your first show, like, I've never done a show before. They're going to be like, never mind.
Hey, this is Mark. Yeah, Tom. Did you go by Tom or did you have like a stage name?
It was still Tom. But the thing is, like, I was doing the deal on the phone, and then when I showed up, I like had to try and not really talk that much because I didn't want them to recognize my voice.
I love it.
So it was just like hustling, and it was early growth hacking. It was like coming up with a little program where in order to download my song, you had to follow us on Facebook. Like that's so commonplace now, but that didn't exist in 2010. And so I did things like that. And Facebook followers started shooting up, leverage those followers to get us in front of promoters. The promoters would bring us to do a show, put on a great show, make hype reels, further grow and it was like climbing that ladder. That was a ton of fun. And so that was most of my background. I mean, I went to business school after 10 years of this performing stuff, and then in pretty short order came to do this.
Did you have a music background growing up? Like, did you do like music class in high school, or like, how'd that come to be?
Yeah, I am a classically trained pianist, and then, I experimented. I made like an indie rock album, a terrible indie rock album in high school, where I just played all the instruments. I had an electronic drum set in my house. So I was like a C+ level instrument player of drums, bass, guitar, piano, and so I like could get stuff together, but was never good enough to, do what White Panda now is on the surface. There were a lot of people working behind the scenes with me on that.
At what point did you decide to exit that pursuit and go into something else?
Yeah, I mean, it was White Panda came up and got to be known from mashups, which is like sampling. Girl Talk is the biggest known name, but like taking lots of different pieces, mixing them together. And in the era of music blogs, that was so popular. And people still love it. You see it all over TikTok. It's just like, although nowadays it's AI, so it's like Ozzy Osbourne singing a Nickelback song. But like that's the version of what mashups were. It was sort of like stuff that you know and you love and you recognize, presented in a new way that makes it exciting again. And so we came up doing that. And then when Spotify came around, mashups couldn't be on Spotify because we didn't have the copyrights to the samples. Now they were monetized. Back when it was just like on SoundCloud, no money was being made. It was just sort of reasonably within fair use. And unfortunately, because everyone went to these streaming services, it wasn't like they wanted to listen to White Panda so bad that they'd leave Spotify and find us on YouTube. It was like they would just listen to something else. So White Panda kind of had like its peak in like 2013, 2014. And I wrote it a while longer than that. But, after you have been playing festivals and enormous shows, I got burnt out from living on the road. The shows were smaller. There's only so many times I can hear the same Katy Perry EDM remix and dance around on stage in a panda suit, acting like I'm having the time of my life, when really I'm just tired.
I just want to go home.
Yeah, I just want to go home.
Now, that journey, I always believe that when you look back and have self-reflection, that you can see, hey, that moment of my life, I learned something that I was able to apply at a later point in my life. What type of lessons did you learn in that endeavor that you've been able to apply to Birdie Houses?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's sort of like life lessons, which might be a little too personal to share here. There's a lot of execution lessons. I mean, it's growing a business. Like White Panda was a complicated business. Again, it was a large internet-driven brand We had a product. The product was the music and the live performance. The live performances were like, we're talking international tours. I did 500 shows.
Holy
different venues, packing trucks, like LED screens, setup, breakdown. And like, you're kind of project managing all of that. So you learn a lot about just everything you need to, but I guess in the process, what you really learn is how to teach yourself anything. It's like, okay, today I need to learn how distributors make money and how distributors work with different streaming platforms so that I can like test a bunch of approaches and pick the right distributor and optimize it's just so much self-teaching that it gets you well set up to do something like this, where again, so much self-teaching, like going out and trying to get Callaway to come partner with us and talking to their executives. Like, I have no background that sets me up to do that, but it's just like, got to find a way to figure it out. So that was a big one. And let me see if I got anything else good from White Panda. I just think there is some parallels. Like, it is a internet-driven brand that has a large audience that is coming to an experience. And in the case of White Panda, the experience was a live concert. In the case of Birdie Houses, the experience is a giant buddy trip. So in some ways, they are similar, even though there's a lot of
You've been in the business of making memories, whether it be at a live concert or now on a trip. Like, it's a business of making memories. How can you make someone have a great memory?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's well said.
So Tom, now let's switch back over to golf and Birdie Houses. So, when did your kind of attention turn to the game of golf? Like, have you always enjoyed this game? Did at one point the flip just switch and you're like, you know what? I think I'm a golf sicko. Or how did that begin?
So I didn't pick it up until after college, which I wish I had much, much sooner. There's one of our head of operations is a stick, and he just whoops me out there every time.
You'll get him.
Welcome
eventually.
to my life as a guy who didn't start playing until after college and a kid who grew up playing junior golf.
Yeah, it's not fair. And there's nothing you did to deserve starting earlier.
Yeah,
so.
you're right.
Your parents were better than mine, is what
thanks,
that was.
Dad.
Dude, I didn't start.
Put me in the wrong sport.
You had I had a golf club in my hand at the age of 4.
You might have.
I didn't. I was playing every other sport. Anyway, back to Tom. He's more interesting.
So picked it up after college. Loved the game. Was obviously drawn in the same way everyone is drawn in the beginning, which is like you suck, and then occasionally during a round, you'll just like pure a 5-iron right into the middle of the green. You're like, oh my God, I have to do this every day.
This is my life.
So I had those moments. And then what it really became for me was like when I started to take these buddy trips, and it became both about the golf, but also about the time with my close friends that as we were getting older, we weren't getting as much of anymore. Like, then the golf kind of became attached to that. And so I think like emotionally I'm connected to both of them. And now like I got kids. Most of my buddies have kids. We don't see each other a ton. We're working hard and raising families, except golf is the place where we found a way to connect and like maintain our relationships. And so whether it's an annual trip or whether it's just like a casual round, like once a month, like I associate my best friendships with golf, in addition to the fact that like I have definitely gotten the addiction where it's just like I love the game and I hate how bad I am and I constantly want to be better, and I'm just out there trying to break 80.
Kyle's going through that right now. Kyle's been out there grinding.
I've been out there grinding. I'll be right there with you, Tom. Right there with you. So now Myrtle Beach, you've been in the market now you've come and visited. You obviously found this location here. What excites you about this marketplace as the prospects for Birdie Houses? It's a much different market than Pinehurst, and it's a much different market than Scottsdale. Like, using that business acumen, what excites you about this marketplace?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. I mean, number one is the obvious stuff, which is there's 90 courses within.
You could say 90, but we'll go with 80.
Okay, somewhere between 80 and 90 courses,
Yeah.
like along the Grand Strand, and it's not munis either. Like, these are nice courses. So the sheer volume of golf is incredible. The second thing, which I touched on earlier, was the level of support from the city and the cooperation amongst all the courses. So not only can you come here and play good golf, but they also make it easy for you because they really want to promote golf travel here. So that's big. And then the third is actually something that I've learned through GTS, which is just, I've been to Myrtle Beach many, many times through White Panda over the past 15 years. And this place is like a lot different than it was 15 years ago. Yeah. Like when I came here 15 years ago, it was like, you know, you've got Vegas and then you got Atlantic City, which is kind of like the dirty Vegas. And then you had Myrtle Beach, which is just like a little bit dirtier. And that's where what felt like 20 years ago. And granted, that is a outsider coming in quickly. Yeah. And now, like some of the communities and areas I see in this town, it feels more like an Austin, Texas. It's starting to feel like there's innovation hubs happening there. There's cool cultural spots standing up. There's all the amazing restaurants and coffee shops, and it's just like, it's kind of looking like a different city than I remember. And I know that there's a lot of work going into that, which makes me optimistic that it's just going to keep going that way. And you could easily, you know, see 5-10 years in the future, like Myrtle Beach being a incredibly compelling destination for, you know, a variety of activities for people in the U.S.
Yeah, that's one of our strategies here is we want to attract more golf-centric businesses. So to have, you know, someone like you who's brought your business to this marketplace, that's really exciting. And yeah, you're right. You know, Myrtle Beach has evolved over the last 15 years. Like it's evolved in the 11 years that I've been here. Where it is currently the fastest growing. Horry County, the county we're in, is the fastest growing county in America.
It's wild.
We've seen leaps and bounds, and people love golf here. That's the crazy thing. Like when you tell people we have over 80 golf courses and we play 3 million rounds here a year, it's wild. Like golf is in the DNA of this place.
Yeah,
that's crazy that it's like full circle for you, from White Panda to Birdie Houses now. That's wild.
Yeah. It is. And now before we wrap up, Tom, I want to learn a little bit more about Birdie Houses, because what's unique, I think, also about your business and your structure, it's not just a building, but you're building a digital community. So tell me a little bit about the community aspect of Birdie Houses and how someone can become a member and what the perks are, because that's unique.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the membership is something that is an aspiration of ours that we haven't yet leaned into leaning too heavily, because many of the perks of the membership are going to be rooted in property-related activities. And when you've only got 1 or 2 properties and there's only so many weeks in a year, it's hard to compellingly deliver like property-based perks to people when there's only so much we can do. So we're like, the membership is something we want to move into. It's partly because, you know, as we build more and more services related to our stays, tea time planning, stocking the house, private transportation, private chefs, masseuses, outfitting you before your trip, all these things. Right now we can offer them either just for free, at cost, but it is like a long menu of items. And I think ultimately we'd be interested in, you know, building into this golf trip community where we could say, hey, all of these like anyone can book this house. All of these services are a member's perk. And if you're a member, like that's one of the things you get. And you get earlier access to the calendar, and you could potentially book at discounted rates. And you get more, like there are a bunch of partners we're speaking to that some of them like private clubs where we're talking about how do we make it so that our guests can play your club when they're staying at a Birdie House. And in exchange, you know, we have lots that we bring to the table for them. But the main concern has been, well, we don't want any random crazy 22-year-old bachelor party tearing up our course. So as we start to build into our own membership and we have sort of vetted application process and making sure that it's like a positive, uplifting community of people, we can start to vouch for our membership, which will allow us to like make further inroads with other organizations, which will build the perks. And so it's something we expect to start leaning into maybe middle of next year, once we have 5 or 6 homes and we can start to like actually deliver. But the point of it is to, one, simplify things, you know, make sure that you can have this experience, you can have a much more elevated version as a member, and 2, to work towards that like long-term vision of people actually connecting, meeting each other through golf trips, where if we do membership events and people actually make friends, and then maybe 2 foursomes get together and do a big trip as a group of 8, if we can facilitate that type of like behavior through a membership, we'd be very happy about that.
Yeah, and this location I don't think we talked about it, but the Myrtle Beach Birdie House, it's located, for those that are listening, that are familiar with the Myrtle Beach area, it's right near Arrowhead, the golf course Arrowhead, probably about 5-8 minute drive from the airport. It's really close to the connector that gets you onto 501 or 31. It's in a really good central location, just probably within this area. How many golf courses do you think are probably within a 5-mile radius?
No, there's no telling. I mean,
You got Arrowhead,
probably 15,
you got the
20.
River Oaks courses,
Legends just down the road.
You got
Man of War, Wizard,
There's probably
Myrtlewood,
9,
Pine
10.
Lakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Myrtlewood's probably less than
Pine
5
Lakes.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you expand that to like 20, 25-minute drive,
Yeah.
then you're getting Barefoot, Dunes
Yeah.
Club.
Point being,
Grand
it's like the
Dunes.
perfect location.
It's
Yeah, you're in the central of anything. So, like, if you want to go north, it's a quick drive. If you want to go south, it's a quick drive. It's a great location. And, Tom, talk a little bit about, like, if somebody wanted to book this house, like, what's that process like? Are there any minimums for nights? Or just give us that information as if you were trying to sell it to someone.
Yeah, I mean, we try to make it really easy. It's just all on our website, birdiehouses.com. The calendars are totally up to date. The pricing is dynamic, which is pretty commonplace. You'll see it everywhere. If you want to book the most Masters weekend next year, it's going to be expensive. If you want to sneak in on a Tuesday to Thursday 2 weeks from now, it's going to be cheap. And minimums can vary as well. I think like weekends, you probably will see a 3-night minimum, but just 2 nights otherwise. And you book on the site. It's really simple. You pick the dates on the calendar. It prices it out for you. Book it just the way you would on pretty much any reservation engine. And then as soon as you've booked, our team reaches out and starts providing you like a tee time intake. Here's our recommended itinerary. Here's every single course if you want to see it. Here's the top 10 according to rankings. And then we take their feedback of where they want to play, and then we leverage GTS to put together itineraries for them. We drop it in their inbox. We go back and forth. So all like the services kind of come in the wake of the booking. But really, yeah, it's just birdiehouses.com. Pinehurst and Myrtle Beach are both open. Scottsdale's calendar will probably be open in 2 to 3 weeks for January.
And maybe you can give us a little sneak peek, but any other locations, destinations on the horizon in your eyes?
Definitely. I mean, well, first of all, I want to have a second house here because I think like it's a little bit of a drive down to Caledonia and True Blue, and I think that would be a great place to nestle a second house.
That's
Breaking news.
David's stomping grounds.
Yeah, that's where I spend a lot of time.
Yeah, so I would love to do that. Scottsdale's coming. There's a bunch of markets we're looking at. Again, because we're so strict on what we require in these homes, we kind of have to be opportunistic about when the right house pops up, being ready to move, and thus we look at a lot of markets. But we're looking at Hilton Head, Orlando, Kiowa, Palm Springs, St. George, Utah. Those are probably like our top watch markets right now. And then we're also having a handful of conversations with resorts and private clubs where potentially in partnership with a larger resort that doesn't have this style housing, we might come and do a development on site. And if one of those is green lit, that would necessitate a move into those markets as well. But
Yeah, well, I would say, hey, we always tell people, right, David, that it's very hard to have a bad time in Myrtle Beach. Well, I can guarantee you that if you stay in this house, your time is going to be even better.
If you have a bad time staying at the Myrtle Beach Birdie House, you
suck as a person.
you suck. Like that's
You
you're
are
a
not
miserable
a fun person
Like,
because this is the coolest house ever.
yeah, you could almost come here and just not play golf. That would be stupid, but you could. You almost could.
You could. It'd be dumb, but you could. Well, Tom, hey, man, we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate, your entrance into this marketplace. I think it's really exciting to see new businesses and new experiences for our consumers, and this is definitely a new one, and then one that you're going to want to check out, one you're going to want to try to get into. This place, I guarantee you, is going to be booked up full very soon for a long time. So if it's something you're interested in, you can go to Tom's website. We also have information on playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. But David, Tom, hey, this is new. You're going to have to learn something. There's only one thing left to do. See ya.